Good afternoon. I'm Devin Stone. I'm part owner of Construction Programs and Results, markupandprofit.com. My partner, Michael Stone, is the author of the books Markup and Profit, A Contractor's Guide, and Profitable Sales, A Contractor's Guide. Michael's not here with us today. He's on his way to Minneapolis right now to spend the rest of this week with a fellow contractor. Today's webinar is being presented by Brian Javelin. Brian is president and co-founder of the My Online Toolbox platform, a service that's helping contractors find more work and internet software helping them manage their jobs. Brian is a serial entrepreneur, co-founding 4 different software companies over the last 26 years. We're also going to hear from a number of contractors that Brian has worked with. We'll bring them into the conversation later on. If you have any questions, feel free to use the questions box on your controls. We're glad you're with us today. And Brian, let's get started.
Hello, Devin. Thank you very much, and hello to everyone who's listening. We're extremely excited about the volume of people that have signed up, and as we're starting this, the numbers are literally growing as we're talking, so forgive me if I have to take one step back if the numbers jump very high, and I just want to remind people that a current topic was previously discussed earlier. But I also want to make a quick little disclaimer, and for the people that know me, I want to make mention of this in a few different ways. First, the purpose of this webinar is specifically to ensure all the contractors that are listening, especially the ones who have been intimidated by the topic of websites and more intimidated by what it takes to generate leads. The purpose of this is to help you be motivated and to understand that many of your peers were in the same boat as you, and we're talking about a bunch of contractors who are waiting to say hello to you, and they were in the same boat anywhere between 3 and 6 months ago. We're not talking years, we're talking a very small amount of time. Second, when I'm going on particular screens, please be aware, do not just cut and paste in order to quickly change your website, because many of the contractors that we're going to be presenting their websites to make a point, you don't want to just cut and paste a topic because it may not help you in the manner that you may have thinking about when you're just looking about one particular topic. And I want to make a friendly joke that I always throw at the end that I don't want to be responsible for, neither does Markup and Profit, pertaining to your addiction, that you're going to change right after this webinar. You're going to be looking at your marketing life and lead opportunities differently, and if you lose sleep or get too much work, please don't blame us. And I have to add that little bit of humor into a long-winded webinar. And you now, to continue, are agreeing to these terms and conditions. And that little checkbox, I'm adding another little bit of humor because we just discussed about this agreeing to terms and conditions to other types of lead generation services, which I'll broad stroke in a moment. And so for now, going forward, you're agreeing that you're willing to lose sleep in learning how to become more of a marketing person, and you're ready to take on more work for your business. I also want to do 2 things. I want to thank the contractors who are participating in this webinar in advance, because they're sitting online waiting to specifically educate their peers, and they're waiting for their turn to say hello. And I would also like to thank Devin and Michael of Markup and Profit. And when you start to see how much you're going to learn and how much the world will be changing for you going forward after this short 1-hour webinar, I'd like you to consider going to the Markup and Profit website on my behalf as a request. Look at this book that they've created for the industry, and I believe it's the one and only book that should be sitting on your shelf for something you to go through on all of the different aspects of your business, on learning how to manage the job, and collect all of your money and everything else pertaining to having a profitable contracting business. So thank you, Devin, for helping me put this together. It's not an easy task. Now, before we dive into SEO, many people call me to say, hey, how do I quickly generate more leads? And I want to make sure that everyone is on the same wavelength before we start talking about specifically SEO. And let's make sure we're all in agreement that SEO, which stands for Search Engine Optimization, is a component of marketing a business. And in general, whenever we speak to contractors, marketing happens to always represent one of 2 things. It either represents someone really being upset that they have to consider it in the first place. Most contractors simply just want to close a job, start doing the work, and getting paid and making the most money possible. However, marketing is a major component of any business, and SEO is a subset of it. Also, Many contractors are aware they have to do marketing, but they simply aren't sure what it means. They think of it as a direct relationship to sales, and it's not. Marketing and sales are two different elements of life. And what I want to do by the time we're done on this short 1-hour session is to have you start looking at marketing in a fun way and realizing you have so much at your fingertips, and it's just, do you understand how to deploy what you're experiencing in the field? And what I'd like people to realize is that everything they do, each job or each set of jobs, allows you into an opportunity, at least with your website and inbound marketing, an opportunity for future leads. And that's what we're going to be educating you with here in this short session. So marketing is a long-term goal. Sales are short-term goals. Marketing, you're pulling in people to look at your business. Sales, you are trying to close a deal. The process of marketing is to bring many people to be looking at your opportunities. And the sales, it's somebody has expressed an interest, and now you're looking to persuade a customer to close the deal. So marketing, always think of marketing as casting a wide net towards opportunities, and think of sales as a one-to-one, very narrow focused point. You got a lead, you want to pitch to them, you want to close the deal. So now that we've separated them, we're going to say, well, what's SEO? How could SEO help me? And if you look at where the focus point is, marketing in general generates leads. Sales in general generates sales. But with the proper SEO on your website, you see where it says generating leads. We're trying to generate quality leads. And what we're trying to do is generate better sales. So with the appropriate SEO implementation, you're going to be bringing in more leads, but you're going to be bringing in more quality leads. And that's what we care about the most. So I like to do a lot of analogies because unfortunately SEO is a very broad topic, and I realize that many guys and girls are on the road. The contracting business is extremely mobile. Most of the people who are doing the work are also in the field. So having simple analogies allows you to take complex topics, get your hand around them, and implement them. I'd like to use an iceberg as an example with the Titanic. And the Titanic, when it hit that iceberg floating in the ocean, could you just imagine if there was the smallest little blinking light on that iceberg on that fateful night? That little blinking light would have steered the Titanic away. Now, what we're looking to do is reverse the psychology. Your website is nothing other than yet another site out of the tens of millions of websites floating out there, and we want just the opposite for you to understand how easy it is for you to guide a ship to find your iceberg. But separately, I want you to also remember there is a component of an iceberg which is the same as your website. Some of these topics are very visible and easy for you to see in the blink of an eye, but a lot of it is underneath the sheets. It's easy to understand, but it's not perfectly visible. I'm going to help the analogy of some of the things that are easy to see and many of the things that you don't see, however, they're easy to implement. And what we're going to do now is go through this motion of what should you do, and more importantly, what should you not do? A lot of people don't like to talk about that. And let me start with what a startup company or an early stage company is going to do. A lot of times you're confused on how to get your marketing presence going. So what will happen is you're going to sign up to another service. And I'm not going to mention the names on this recording because there's enough lead generation, rating review services out there that have gotten enough bad press that I don't want to give them the publicity. But the key thing is, similar to the way I joked about the terms and conditions, where you're going to learn a lot today and you're now going to start thinking differently, the biggest thing is I don't want you to agree to the terms and conditions on these sites. If you read them, you will see, as a contractor, so many of them are against your long-term goals, and I'm not going to discuss it here just because I don't want to deviate, but if you go to my site or call me or contact me at a later time and you're not understanding it, just be aware that that little checkbox could, in my opinion, offer you a tremendous negative outcome if you don't understand what you're agreeing to. Now let's move forward to what you need to do. The first thing is that many people tend to join these sites from a defensive position. They feel somebody has put a bad review out there, so they must sign up quickly to offer a counterattack. And what I want people to know is exactly what's happening, or the fear of what's happening to contractors actually happens to me on a weekly basis. And let me just give it a quick analogy so you could see why you don't have to waste your time thinking in a negative way, and we should be focused on a positive aspect of your business. When you look at, if you come to my site, I have a free sign-up section, and people sign up, but I do have particular terms, which is I need to know who you are. My platform is designed for contractor-to-contractor networking, and people, for many different reasons, sign up and don't want to identify who they are. This happened to happen this Saturday. It's live. I actually believe these people are on this conversation, quite honestly, but they signed up like this. So I sent a very nice note, which is automatic, by the way. It basically says, in summary, without reading the whole thing, thank you for signing up. However, you violated my terms. You're allowed to try us for free. You're allowed to learn for free. However, I need to know who you are. It might have been by mistake. Just tell me who you are, and I don't mind reactivating your account. But it's a very polite letter. Well, guess how I get met with a response? Instantaneously, this is the exact quote that came back to me. This attitude has made my mind up for me. You may delete my account, and more importantly, I shall be recommending against you on any forum I visit. Now, this is an example of my life, which is the same. This is coming from the type of service, which I'm not going to mention, where they're starting to tell clients every time you have an issue with a contractor, just threaten them with their online reputation. And it's slowly becoming an epidemic. Well, guess what? I don't know who this person is, and nor do I really care. It's not the person I want to do business with, but I'm not going to spend my time worrying about who this person is, posting negative reviews about how I want to run my business. And it's the same thing for all the contractors here. Don't get obsessed with what could happen from a negative perspective. Stay focused on the positive side of your life. And it all starts with understanding how to have a website. But what I want to do is make sure everybody in this group, and the numbers I see are growing as I'm speaking, is this is an extremely diverse group of contractors. And during the sign-up process, I actually couldn't go quick enough because the sign-ups were happening so fast. I'm a coach, and I enjoy the process. This is both my teams for the season, by the way. Two of my young teams out of 56 teams both got won the championships of different age groups, and I do enjoy having people understand what they could do on that, what they're capable of. But here's the point. There's contractors here that are going to be speaking in a few moments, but there's a lot of other contractors that are so intimidated that when they're signing up, in the beginning, we had a lot of people signing up with whatever their company name is. But then comes all of the generic John@hotmail.com, Joey at gmail.com. That's not the way to run a business. And let me show you what happened, just so you can enjoy. I'm in Miami, by the way, everybody, and our Heat are in the playoffs, so forgive the sports analogies. Within the first 25 signups to this webinar, this was the breakdown. 16 came from a business address, 9 came from a generic. And I like to say I'm missing the boat because I don't know why somebody would ever say Hotmail or Gmail or AOL. It's just outdated, and it doesn't allow you to brand your business name while you're communicating with customers. So in the first quarter, with 25 points, 16 went to the business people or business email addresses, 9 came in generic. Then the next 25, it was 26 to 24. Then the next 25, after our name and this webinar started to propagate on different forums, it went up 37 to 38. And then the last 25, before it turned into a number that I just couldn't keep track of anymore, was at the final win, 51 people who are listening in right now, in the first 100 at least, came in from generic email addresses. 49 came in from business addresses. So that's the relevancy, because the 51 people definitely don't have email websites. Out of the 49, when I glanced at their websites, so many of them had next to no optimization, which is why the vast majority of the lead gen companies and the ratings review sites simply don't want you to understand the opportunity you're missing. So we're sitting on your side to make you be aware that it's a billion-dollar opportunity that everybody's in, and we're looking to have this become 100 out of 100 have a business address, and 100 out of 100 have a website that they control, that they're able to generate activity. So for the contractors that are listening that are going to speak at one point, please just be aware that there's more people that are behind you than you may have realized before you say anything. So it should make you feel much better on how far you've come in the last 3 to 6 months. Now comes, you've built your first website, or you're starting to. The first thing is, and this is already something that has started on a continuous basis, don't waste your time talking about coming soon. You never need to say under construction, website coming soon. You want to take advantage of SEO from day one. As soon as that website's live, you say whatever limited amount of information you need to, but don't waste your time with being afraid to say something limited just to get started, because Google comes to your site the day it's live. And the longer it sits in a perception of coming soon, that's being held against you for your long-time objectives. Also, here happens to be a new client, and I'm not going to be promoting his SEO topics because this website is brand new. It is so new that I did not want to talk about an SEO topic, but I did want to talk about a marketing topic. Every single landing page has to have in the top right-hand corner somewhere a call to action, which is the phone number on the top right. You would not believe how many websites do not have a phone number. And the reason why it's important is that when somebody bumps into a particular web page, as a contractor, somebody's only going to visit you for a very few number of pages, whether you have 25 pages or 100 pages on your website. How somebody finds you and what their limited interest is to connect with you. The key aspect is check your websites, check every single page with the assumption that somebody found that page first. And if it's a customer who wants to reach out to you really quick, ensure that the phone number's there. And if it's not there, the sooner you put it, the better, because you would never know about the number of people who simply drop off because they couldn't make a quick phone call. Another marketing thing, which is, and forgive me, speaking of phone numbers, I call a lot of people every day. Returning calls, you would not believe how many voicemail messages are completely outdated, how many say they're on vacation when they're not, how many don't reference their business name. So just when you hang up the phone later, please call your own phone number, make believe you didn't know who you were, and does it say hello, that you've reached whatever your company name is, we're in the field right now. Don't say I, say we. We represents a company. I represents an individual who is willing to negotiate anything under the sun. So when you say we, you're already representing a bigger company, and it's easy to say we're in the field right now. We'll get back to you later, but please check your voicemail. I would have to say 1 out of 5 have a nice message. 4 out of 5 have everything under the sun that's just not inappropriate for a business to be leaving as a message to generate future business. Now, moving back onto websites. Something to be aware of, and this is a visible thing to understand, is that when people are creating a website, most of the time they're used to, like mine is www, I got to get my little promotion, www.myonlinetoolbox.com. That's my web page. We're focusing in on, at the moment, the www. What you want to do, if you have an existing website, is take away the www and replace it with http://. The reason is, the best analogy to understand is when you're looking in the mirror, think of that as a website where there actually is 2 different copies out there. And what you need to do is ensure that when you type in www.myonlinetoolbox, it stays there. But if you took away the www and replaced it with HTTP exactly as you see it there, as soon as you hit the enter key, in front of your eyes, you're going to see it change. What it's called is a 301 redirect. It's a buzzword, but all it does is tell Google that there's actually 2 versions of your website out there. And what you want to do, and this is just an example in the GoDaddy site, this is how simple it is. In the configuration of GoDaddy, there's a simple little, where is it? It's on the site management area configuration where there's a little button and it says search engine optimization. Redirect all visitors to www. What would happen is when you type in http:// your web address, instantaneously you should see it change in front of your eyes and it should go to the www version. The reason why it's important is if somebody happens to find the HTTP version of your website, you want to ensure that Google gives complete credibility to the www version in order to get all of the statistics properly managed. So please keep that in mind. It's a simple thing. If you get a little bit confused, just remember you need to do it. It's a minor roadblock in your long-term objectives, but it does have an impact over the long term. Next, think about looking at all these books out there. You have a tremendous bookshelf, all these books here. It's the same thing with a website. Where would you begin? Just like a website has many pages, many things to look at, guess what you would be looking at to try to figure out what book is for you? You're looking at the title of books. Now what we're going to do is start to get into some meat and potatoes of a real website. So what I'd like you to do is on a blank site, I have a particular client, I don't know if he's joining us at the moment, Vanguard Home Designs. This website, when you look at it, the first thing is before you look at anything on the website, if you look up on the top left-hand corner, right under where it says most visited, getting started, and latest headlines, in that blank section, this is what's called a title tag. This happens to be the equivalent. The best way to think of it is the cover of a book when you're in Barnes & Noble and all those books are lined there. Well, that happens to be the most massive, repetitive mistake that contractors make. And what happens is this is what tells Google what is this page about. Forget about everything else, about the nice logo, the phone number, the words on his site, the pictures. None of it matters until Google has said on this particular page, is it worth it for us to even look at? So what happens is in this particular case, let me just hit a button. Forgive me. What will happen is the biggest mistakes is people have nothing. People put coming soon. People put home page. They put repetitive words where every single page on their website, they might have 50 pages on a website. I'm making it up. And if you go from page to page to page, the title tag stays the same. Well, in Google's mind, you could have 50 pages minus 49 repetitions, and they'll only give credit to that one page because it's the equivalent of having 50 different books, different sizes, different colors, and they all have the same title. Google will just simply discount the other 49 from an SEO perspective, and now you have a site that's just simply not giving you any of the traction that you think it is with all that extra content. So using Vanguard as an example, if you go to the Vanguard home design website, they happen to have, and forgive me, I can't go with my mouse over this to make it larger, they have words such as remodeling, contractor, residential, and if you put your mouse over there, if you type this in separately, if anyone else could do this while we're talking, you would see that by putting your mouse over that title tag, it's going to be a much longer word. There are restrictions to those words and a certain ordering pattern, but it's relating to what does my business do? Oh, by the way, my name is VanguardHomeDesigns.com. So that's an introduction to title tags. Now comes the phrase that you might hear called content is king, and which is true. Google wants content. It wants as much information as humanly possible. But what I like to always do is add an extension to it that says, yes, content is king, but optimized content is queen, knight, and rook. You could do so many extra things that when you look at the content in a strategic way, you could now know that Google is searching for things that are more important than things that don't matter. And let me give a little bit of an example. Who's coming up? Okay, KP Carpentry. This is another client, and if you went to his site, here's the first thing, kp-carpentry.com. But right before I even go into the content, I look up first, and I realize that he has a good title tag. It says home improvement, carpentry, contractor, and if you keep reading across the top of the browser that's in a dark blue, the Firefox browser, you'll see it says home improvement, carpentry contractor, handyman services, Milwaukee. He has identified what he does and where he does it. Now when you read further down, you will see that it says KP Carpentry is a Milwaukee-based, and he starts putting words in a very particular order, And he highlights a few of them, and if you look closely, home improvement is highlighted, remodeling is highlighted, and he throws in a little bit of a story, but it's optimized content and it's done wonderfully. I like to also explain to people, and this is something that contractors, you have an arsenal of marketing opportunities. And what we like to always say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. A picture, an optimized picture, helps you get free leads. If you go to websites, and let me bring one up, bear with me. Okay, here's the company called C&K Custom Remodeling. And before I get to the pictures, on the top left-hand corner, you'll see his URL, which is the website address. And let me circle it. You'll see that inside his actual website address, he chose the right words, where this page is dedicated to bathroom remodeling and shower and designs, which is wonderful. Then the next thing I'm doing is reading down, and his title tag happens to have a combination of different words, such as, well, where he does it, Portland, Oregon, bathroom remodeling, and there's an extension there, but I'm cutting it off that I can't see the rest of the words that are tied to this particular page. But now, look at the picture. And if you look at the picture, you'll see that it says small vanity. That little rectangle is when you use a tool, whether it's GoDaddy, one-in-one, it really doesn't matter what. If you've ever loaded a picture before onto anything or sent a picture to someone, usually the camera will call it pic 1, pic 2, or a picture with a date, and that's the way it associates the file name. What you need to do when you install a picture onto a web page is simply change the name to what does it represent. Because I've gone to contractor websites that they have beautiful representation of what they're capable of doing. Hundreds of pictures, actually, I've seen of some people between all the different services they've done. And when I tell them, you've made a bad mistake. You have hundreds of pictures, and Google has hundreds of no references to these pictures. So you want to be conscious about when you're loading pictures to do what's called, the code they use many times is called ALT, A-L-T, dash text, which stands for alternative text. And all Google is asking for is, when we look at this picture, what do you call it? And then what you do is you learn, if you ever searched for something, up on top, the first thing Google will say is web, then it says images, then it says video, then it says maps. Think about that images section and realize every one of your competitors, which is contractors and the lead gen companies, could never provide copy of your artwork. So what you need to do is leverage something that you could do that the biggest competitors could never do. So what you'll do is, and I can go further on this, but there's so many ways to take the picture side of your life and optimize it where everybody else can't compete. So please keep that in mind, that the next time you do a job, always remember to take a before and after picture. You may not necessarily understand how to optimize it perfectly, but you want to build your arsenal of opportunities. So if you were working with me, Devin, or whomever, you would be able to quickly benefit from the previous work that you've done. Now, a lot of people don't realize, think about your business as a contractor. It's very simple. What do you do it, and where do you do it? Well, the vast majority of contractors passively tell everybody what they do, and they come close to non-existent of telling people where they're willing to do it. So let me bring up someone. I'm sorry. I jumped ahead. First, I apologize. We're first focusing in on what the service is, and then we're going to focus in on where the service is. Forgive me, I just lost my train of thought. I apologize. So using this example here, we have Riza Construction, and on their website, you'll see that we're now on a services page where we've landed. I trimmed it up where Riza Construction Services has a bunch of different services, and I'm going to now click on the handyman services. And if you notice, up on top, he now has Riza Construction Handyman. Inside the title tag is specifically the service he's providing that he's focusing in on, which is the handyman on the title tag. And now when you start reading the text, you'll see that he properly has handyman in bold in the beginning, where it says handyman painting, plumbing, and carpentry. And then inside the text, he's repeated the word handyman again. That's another example of where you're looking at your website to emphasize what you do, and now we're going to be heading towards, here we go, where you do it. So in this particular case, similar to looking for a store, if you're looking to know how to get there, it's the same thing of telling people, where are you willing to go? Just because you say you're from ABC town in whatever state it is, you need to also define what your radius is that you're willing to target. So using this example, here we go. Lost my train of thought on my notes. I apologize again. In this particular case, Full Service Property Management, they have a website. When you look at it, it says fullservicepm.com, but look at the website address, how it says Service Areas, Seattle, Washington. If you look at the title tag, it starts off with, because this page is dedicated solely for where he is, this is a great example of somebody targeting the area and then discussing what do I do in that area. And this gentleman, I don't know if he's on the line yet, but this gentleman had no individual locations identified when we first met him. But if you see here, I'm just highlighting his website address, the title tag, and then all within the text is the locations. Now comes also another holy grail to please consider this as part of your long-term free goals to enhance your SEO. An optimized picture will help you. Optimized video will ridiculously help you. Keep in mind that Google owns YouTube. If you do a research, you'll see Google right now is the number 2 most heavily visited website, and the third most heavily visited website is YouTube. There are simple methods to be able to, and this is Anchor Exterior, when they have a particular page pertaining to roofing, but here what we did was we created a short video. I can't play it at the moment, but if you look closely, you'll see how it says Local Cincinnati, Ohio Roofing. Well, that video was for free, embedded from YouTube tools, which are easy, that I guarantee anybody on this phone could learn in less than 30 minutes to master. A video is sitting on YouTube, and it now has been embedded on his web page. And these videos, I can't underscore enough how easy it is for you to take a particular page and optimize it to its highest capability when you have good text, good titles on the top with the title tags, and good pictures with video. It's just unbelievable how fast you could push it up in the rankings. What I'd like to do, as I'm leaving this summary before some people start to join us, is I want you to remember that you could always create ongoing content that targets your services and locations. Everything you're going to do next, if you're willing to do it again, always remember that you should be thinking about that on your current job, to take a picture, before and after, take a short video. It doesn't need to be professional. It doesn't need to be on anything special on your phone. Just save it, and then we could easily educate you how you could leverage it to your own website. You also want to remember those before and after images and those videos all combined will easily allow you to create a very highly optimized site that will allow you, as a focus, to specifically generate quality leads on an ongoing basis. Now, what I'd like to do is allow Devin to start saying hello to a few people that have been waiting patiently. Thank you very much again to say hello, but I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. I'm going to quickly jump to their website, ask them just a little question or two. We could, Devin, if you feel free, you'd like to ask a question too, that's okay, and allow everybody to say hello.
Okay, that sounds good. Let's start with Jim. I'm going to say the last name wrong. Jim Hund with Vanguard Home Designs. Jim, did I say your name right?
Jim Hund.
Jim Hund.
Oh.
Okay.
Yep.
Hello, Jim. It's Brian. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, Jim. I was hoping that, we met, and forgive me, I'm just thinking for a moment. When we first met, I don't believe your focus was actually at the time websites. I believe you were actually approaching us for the software side, and then during conversation, we started talking about the website, and then you deviated and started doing both.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. I first signed up for your service for the free contractor software, and that what first hooked me, but I had no idea about all the other services you provide as far as helping me with my website, and I don't think I would be here at where I'm at with my website if it wasn't for you. So.
Well, I appreciate you knowing that it was maybe, I think, less than a half a year ago that we didn't have any conversation pertaining to websites. I'd like you to kind of just do a quick introduction to people to kind of say who you are and like what did you think about your website and marketing in general before we even said a word to each other, and now how you're looking at your website and where your life is as a contractor.
Okay. Well, originally I was just trying to look around for software when I came upon you, but I knew I needed a website. I'm kind of a younger contractor. I'm 26 years old, and I knew I needed to get with technology. And I knew that the internet was the best source to get leads. However, I didn't know really how to carry that through. Startup company, didn't have much capital to perform this. So I put together my website, didn't really know what I was doing, kind of made a few pages and, searched for myself on Google and couldn't find me. I had no idea, didn't know what to do to fix it. So then I came upon you, and then so we've been working. I think my website has been active for 11 months now. You've been helping me for about 9 or 10 months now, and now I've got just perfect amount of business for what I can handle. And today I was looking at a 4,000 square foot building to buy because I have enough work that it's time to move out of the house and into a nice warehouse building. So yeah, came pretty far in the past 11 months, and and I haven't spent any money on radio or TV advertising. It's always been focused on a website. During winter was a little slow, so I just used that time to work on my website, and so things have been going pretty well.
When somebody is brand new, and it's been a while, so forgive me because I just don't remember our starting point. Can you remember when we didn't start with anything other than your at the highest level title tags? I'm just using the first thing that comes to mind. Was there any point that you got overly intimidated, or that something was like it stopped you or slowed you down, or like that you could kind of ease any fears for people that are listening passively, that you would be able to explain to them how much you were able to get past on your own, including any type of roadblocks?
Honestly, it went pretty smoothly. That was going through the 301 redirects with the site I had a little bit trouble through. I know you talked about that earlier. But other than that, it was all clear sailing, and it was just this, kind of started getting repetitive and just started getting ingrained in my mind. You walked me through it, through the different stages, that I wasn't really intimidated. It was all like, okay, you just need to do this. All right, I can do that. That's not a problem. I can write title tags. I know how. I found out how to do that. I can optimize my content, and so from there, it just wasn't too hard. And now I just was checking my site today, and in my area, I just claimed the #1 spot for 3 of my main services, which I just noticed today. So I'm pretty ecstatic about.
Well, good. Well, listen, Jim, thank you so much for participating, because I'm going to, after the fact, so for the people that are coming in later at a later time and not live, I'm going to be adding extensions to, after I've had a moment to go through everybody's website that says something to the group. I'll be able to add examples of things that you just can't naturally think of right now while on the phone, and I appreciate you joining us just to help alleviate those reservations that others may have had about this topic.
Hey, thank you for the invite.
Okay, Jim, good luck with the new new location.
All right, thank you.
Okay, bye, Jim.
Bye.
Okay, Brian, let's move on to a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, Mike Jeffries, if Mike is available. Mike, let me find you. 5 seconds. Mike, can you talk?
I'm here, Devin.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Devin. Hi, Brian.
Hello, Mike.
I have to say this. It's
Mike, as you're speaking, Mike, what's your website address?
It's closingsuccesssystem.com. So, there's probably a few folks on the call who know who I am. We're marketing and sales consultants, and I've had the pleasure of doing a number of webinars for Michael and Devin, and they're great people, and that's how I came to know you, Brian. So it's it is a, I count that day when I first connected with Michael. Actually, he contacted me as, a little bit of serendipity in life, but it's good stuff. And in fact, I think what Brian is doing, I've hired Brian to help us with our website and our SEO, and we have some unique issues because we obviously service contractors, but our market is huge. We service clients not just in the U.S. but Canada and some other places too. So we have a huge need for SEO, and Brian pointed out some things to us that I thought, wow, this is really good. And I said, Brian, one of the things that I want to do is I want to be able to, recommend your service to our clients. And, since we've hired Brian, it's made a marked improvement in a lot of ways. And I know we're just scratching the surface. I know we just talked about video. I know we're just scratching the surface. We've got a lot of videos, but none of them are really optimized the way they should be. So I'm really, I'm really excited about having the opportunity to work with Brian. He's very knowledgeable. It's easy to understand. And let me tell you, I am not the technical guy in my firm. Not by any stretch of the imagination. I'm the marketing guy. When it gets to the technical stuff, it's a struggle for me. But I think what Brian does is a natural fit for our consulting and our do-it-yourself clients that want to know more about SEO, but have been a little, have a little bit of time to do it, and may have been intimidated by it. But I think after you do it, you realize, gosh, he really pulls the covers back and makes it very easy, for you to understand and say, really, was it that easy? Was it that easy? And just as an example, I think we had made some changes on some specific pages, one of them being a roofing page, and like 2 days later I got a call from a prospective client in the middle of the country who had found our site just doing a simple search, and I said, we have never had anybody call about that particular service. So it was really, it's very cool. And if anybody's on the call is thinking about this, it has my stamp of approval. So.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it, and I'm also glad you're getting leads. That's the most important aspect. And for anyone else who's listening, I'm only 50%, or at least the idea of being guided is 50% of the equation. It also is your willingness to actually do something about it, kind of like a weightlifting coach or athletic coach, where they're trying to say, I'll help you, I want to be your partner, but if you don't show up, that portion, your 50%, is also the success of making this happen. So I do appreciate that, but I'm also glad to see I'm on your site, and I'm not going to keep clicking away, but I do see that all the different items that you're starting to implement, which is really good, and I appreciate you joining us before you take off. I realize you have to leave in a moment.
Yep.
All right.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank
Brian.
you, Michael.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Devin.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Brian, if it's okay by you, the next person I'd like to call on is Maxine Rise with risegroupgc.com.
Oh, yes, okay, yes. Hold on, let me find out. Where's Maxine?
Oh, do we have Maxine?
Yes, you do. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Maxine.
Hi, Brian. Thank you for
Maxine,
having me.
you're new. I know that we've only been working for a short amount of time, so let's use that. You've had your website up, from what I realize, is a long time, and then I realized just by simple conversation we realized that we just needed to basically put the site on the chopping block and just surround it with marketing. Can you say hello to people in a sense of where you were? And I know it's so early in the stages, which is great because it represents that, but just kind of give a little introduction to the limited amount of time you've been exposed to educating yourself in what you could do.
Maxine,
Hello?
did we lose you?
Did
Oh,
we lose
dear me.
Maxine?
We did. It says that she's offline. I'll mute her and let's move on to someone else. Hopefully, Maxine, if you hear this and you come back online, can you send me a note and let me know? Sorry about that, Brian.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on. We have William Mathis on the line. William, are you there?
Yes, I am, Devin. How are you?
I am doing fine, William.
And
Hello, Brian.
hello, let me think. A Pro Renovation, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it came up. Hello, William.
How's it going, Brian?
We're doing well, and listen, I'd like you to be able to tell people where you think you are with the website, and what your general perception is towards SEO and where you would like to be going.
Yes, very well. My name is William Mathis. I'm a general contractor out of Washington, D.C. We are A Pro Renovation, and I signed up for the service mostly for the management, the software side of things. But recently, I signed up for the SEO part of the program. But the issues that I'm facing right now is because I'm so busy with the day-to-day operations with my company, I'm finding it to be a little challenging. So I think the question that I have is, because I have such a workload and I'm so busy and what have you, do you have any suggestions for me on how to better handle it?
It's funny that you're saying that, William, because I also do know that you and I have been going, for people that are listening, there is going to be sometimes that statement which William brought to the table, which is I want to do it myself, I just can't, even though my intent is I would want to. And this is something that it's a good question, William. I'd prefer to not get distracted too much, but I'd like to answer your question, because I am having a set of clients that their intent is really, really 100% guided to what you just said, where they want to do it by themselves, but life on the positive side is preventing them. And what we're considering is expanding on the SEO education to be able to do some of this on behalf of the client, but with the strategy, unlike the other website companies who all like to say, I'm going to do the marketing and we're just doing it and you pay us whatever it may be, and you just don't understand. I always feel that that is a long-term hindrance for you. So what we're considering is working out a way where you still basically agree to exactly what's being done, but then you pass it back to someone, and I've been thinking about it, but I'd rather not answer it right now in this video. If you could just give us just a short amount of time to get back to you, and then we'll append to whatever we do on the posting somewhere. But we've been considering coming up with a way to give an extended service where you learn, and as soon as you say, okay, I'm in agreement, but who can you recommend someone to specifically do the change that you understand what's being done and why it's being done. So if anything changes in your business life and you want to take over again on your own, for whatever the reason may be, going up or going down, that you have total control of your one and only 24/7 marketing. So I would like to come up with something, but I prefer not doing it online. If you could just give me a short time, because I just want to get my thoughts together before publicly saying what those thoughts are, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So for any of you out there, don't be intimidated to try at least. And if you try and just can't move forward, there's a chance in the near future we might have another answer, but we'd have to continue that at another topic. But thank you, William, for bringing up that you need some extra help.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Brian, I'm going to call on Lloyd Martindale, if that's okay by you, CK Custom Remodeling.
Yes, here we go. Yes,
Lloyd,
okay.
are you on the line?
I am on the line.
Hi, Lloyd.
Hello, Lloyd.
How are you doing today?
Good. Hi, Lloyd. Your site, I don't know if you were online when I was doing a review, but I happened to include your website in a particular page, too, that was relating to optimizing images. And so I recall when we first met that you had a fairly cosmetically complete site. It just had SEO weakness everywhere we looked. And
yeah,
the way I feel, and maybe I'd like you to express it, is, well, actually, I'd rather you express. How do you feel compared today compared to when we first met, which I believe was just a few months ago?
Yeah, it was maybe January or February, and I've been paying people to work on my site, and it's just money that felt like it was going out the window, and I knew if I could understand a little bit, that at least I would know what I was paying for. When we first started, you gave me a couple of assignments with title tags, and I didn't even know what title tags were. By the time you walked me through that process of this is what a title tag is, and this is what a web page is, I think I went from about 5 web pages to somewhere, I think I've got somewhere around 90 now. And they're all optimized with pictures. I've got video. But before, I had a pretty website that I was proud of that didn't bring me any business. And I paid a lot of people a lot of money to make sure that it did. But it just ended up a pretty website. To address the last caller, one of the things that I do is I do have a person that manages my website, but I know what they do and I direct them what I want done. So when times are slow and I've got more time, I take care of it myself. When I get busy, I pass off assignments and let somebody else do that for me.
Right now on your website, and I know that we're constantly, I don't recall exactly what is the next thing you and I are working on, because we go back and forth, and the process, I'd rather not get into the details here for some of the people who are listening who are not here for the reasons why we think. So what I'd rather do is more just be generic, so forgive me, Lloyd, so you don't inadvertently say a very specific detail. But when you're going through the process right now, is there anything, whether you're doing it or the next person's doing it, somebody else, that you don't know specifically what's happening to this website? Is there anything going on, or do you know 100% of exactly what's the next thing that's going to happen and why?
I feel like I pretty much know exactly what's going on. I feel like I'm in control, and the one thing I feel like is before I would pay people to take care of my website, but I'm just a customer to them. To me, that website is very personal, and so I'm going to put a lot more effort into making it what I want it to be than somebody else is going to for money. That's what I've found in this process.
Well, that's good. And did you run into any type of obstacles that were the type of thing that I guided you to do something, but you actually I didn't really know how hard it was for you, that you might have misled me, that it took you a little bit longer to do than we both wished, but were there any major hurdles that just did take you some time to kind of get comfortable to understand, or was it midstream?
I would say the major, great question, the major hurdle for me was just figuring out how a website worked. Once you kind of showed me how to build a website, I was off and running. The initial fear of what to do, what is the first step, as you showed me, I didn't even know how to do a title tag, and I think we had a phone conversation and you walked me through it, and I kind of felt like, well, I probably should have already known that. But I don't think anybody really does. That was probably my biggest struggle, was where do I start? And once I got started and figured out how to make a web page, we were pretty much off and running.
Well, I do have, if you could remind me at a later time, because I'm just happening to be staring at your page while you're speaking, can you just remind me about the internal links? Just remind me at a later time, just as a gift on how you're expressing yourself. I'm seeing something, but I want to keep that as an offline suggestion for you as the next thing to talk about.
All right.
Okay, well, listen, Lloyd, thank you so much, and I'm glad things are doing well, and I appreciate you taking a moment to call in and say hello to everybody.
Yes.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, bye, Lloyd.
Bye.
Okay, Brian, how about if we let's move on to Ken. Let's see.
Oh, okay. Ken is KP, correct?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, I have Ken's site up, kp-carpentry.com.
Ken, are you there? Did I get the right Ken? Please say I did. Maybe I don't have Ken.
Okay.
He's unmuted. Ken, do you have the ability to talk? Let's move on. Sorry about that. I don't know what went wrong, Brian.
Okay.
Let's move on to Peter Nelson. Peter, are you there? Peter with...
Yeah.
Hey there. Yeah,
Hello.
you are. Full service.
Hello, Peter.
Hi, Brian.
It's full service property, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yep, fullservicepropertymanagement.com. Yes, I was using your, I believe I used yours for locations. So go ahead. Since we've met, Peter, there's a, you've been going at well, actually you have some location sites that are just fabulous, and I realized that you're actually going really, really fast, which is great now that you got into the swing of things. If you could give, you work with a tremendous number of contractors as a property management firm, so give people, knowing that you're very new with us, give people a general sense of other contractors who are trying to get past the hurdle of getting started on where you were just a few months ago and where your comfort level is, and we are just scratching the surface.
Okay. Yeah, we're a fairly new company and have a website in place, and I was getting approached by all kinds of companies wanting to do the SEO for me, and I kept putting them off because I thought it can't be that difficult, especially if so many people are out there doing it. So I was very glad because I pushed them off and pushed them off, and then somehow I came across you, and I saw in your service that you could teach me to fish instead of just handing me a fish. And I'm a little bit of a control freak. But I want to learn, I want to know, and I really caught on to that concept of teaching me how to fish. And it was true that, you came on, and there was a reason why all these SEO sites were coming to us, because we had a website, but it was totally out of there in terms of SEO, and they knew that they'd be able to do some great stuff and have great results with us. And I started working with you. You're right, it's only been a short bit, but it became a bit of a game for me. You showed me a ranking site, and we went from 15 million to inside of 4 million, and just turned into a game for me, really.
Well, I appreciate you treating it as a game. It actually is a really good mental attitude when you're thinking about marketing, because this is something that we're doing for a long-term strategy. And if your attitude, which is a lot of my battle, is just getting people to feel comfortable and excited about what they're doing to market their own businesses, I'm glad that you're able to project that you feel this comfortable at this point of the game, especially in the beginning, where there's a tremendous amount of intimidation. That once you get over that hump, the rest just becomes, okay, give me the next type of topic to master, give me the next type of topic to master, and just have it be in your arsenal of ways of thinking about your own site. So that's great to hear that you're moving along. And I don't know if you were online, but I did include one of your pages as part of the presentation. So I want to thank you for getting along that fast, since just a few months ago, there would have been no way I would have been able to represent that for the group.
Yeah, well, I appreciate all that you've done for us so far. I'm stoked and excited, and you're right. Your approach to it, for me anyhow, took away a lot of the barriers or challenges. And I know that early on I kind of struggled with it, some of the concepts and terminology that you were using initially, and then it just kind of gained momentum like a snowball. And okay, and I started getting in sync. It's like learning how to dance, and initially you're stepping on your partner's toes and everything else, but then pretty soon the music gets going, and pretty soon you're doing the Roomba or something.
Good. Well, hey, listen, keep that attitude up. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you sharing that enthusiasm with the other people that are online, and I'll be in contact with you soon to follow up on whatever that next step is we're supposed to be doing.
Very well, Brian. Thank you.
Hey, have a great day, and thank you.
All right.
You too.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, is Todd Miller?
Todd Miller is Todd Ryzik Construction? I believe yes.
Yeah, he is, but he can't be unmuted right now.
Okay, so we have Ken and Todd that may have been having a challenge with the phones.
Yes, and we have Jim Petrie.
Jim Petrie is, if I recall.
Nope, I've lost. Yeah, we've lost Jim Petrie. Let's see if I can get Maxine back. And hopefully, Todd, if you can hear me, you need to input a PIN number that I just sent to you so that I can unmute you.
And what about Ken? He has a really great site too. That would be just good to hear his voice. Is he around by any chance?
We're working on it.
Okay.
We'll give that a try again. Yeah, Ken is working on it.
Is there any participants that you would like to? I see that the group is really large that's sitting online listening. So is there anybody that you would like to do while you're doing your thing? Is there anyone that you'd like to offer free conversation questions to? Because I'm fine with that.
If anybody has any questions,
okay,
I would love you to send some in. Both Ken and Todd, you said that you input the PIN, but it's telling me that the PIN of #1001# hasn't been entered yet. So if you could try that again. And Ken, you were sent a PIN number 2. This isn't top secret. #122#. If you could put that in so that we can unmute you. And for some reason, I cannot unmute Maxine.
Okay. Is Maxine trying?
I don't know what's happening there.
Okay. Maxine's site that she is raisegroupgc.com.
Yeah. Actually, I think we have Ken available now. Ken, and everyone, I appreciate your patience. We just have a few little technical problems here. But I think we have Ken at kpcarpentry.net is available. Ken?
Hi, hello.
Hey, Ken, but it's kp-carpentry.com. Just to give that extra just clarification. Hey, Ken, thank you for bearing with us for whatever the technical snafu. You do have a live group that's waiting patiently. So, Ken, I did reference a portion of your site that was more content-oriented throughout the presentation, and I see your site. Bear with me. I just want to refresh my memory. Your site. You're using some. Oh, you're using GoDaddy. Nothing special.
I am.
I mean, okay. Well, I know that I recall that you had another site that you just weren't happy with, and you decided to say, "Let me start fresh." So everything for people that are here listening, just be aware that this site is brand new, and this gentleman Ken, who I do promote, mostly because this is started from the ground up. I happen to be with Ken at the point of just getting the web URL, so every step of the way from having a complete blank page, Ken could represent. So if there's something specific after that you want to ask him, here is his website. You can contact him. He's made himself available to help others before. Kind of just talk quickly, not working with me, but just the issue of, hey, can I do this myself for the industry, for whatever their business may be? So I just want to make clear that in addition to the SEO, everything you would see about his site from getting the URL was done by Ken from the ground up. So Ken, go ahead and tell everybody what you feel about how you thought about this stuff before and after from just the last few months.
Well, from before I am brand new to the whole designing a web page and all that. I knew nothing about any of that stuff. I don't even think I had an email address, a year and a half ago. So I knew nothing about it. And I started my company, and I knew that I needed to be online. That's where people look. No one really looks for a book and looks for a service. They look online, and if they find you, you're in. That's what my thought was. So yeah, I had a different website that my neighbor helped me put together, and I too then Googled myself, and I was on page 20 or something, and I was like, well, this kind of stinks, and knew nothing about SEO. I had not a clue, never even heard of it, and I got in touch with Brian, and he would give me simple, like the title tag, I think was one of the first things that he had me do. And through my old WordPress site, I couldn't even, I was having trouble finding ways to optimize my site. So he suggested, well, why don't you try a GoDaddy site? As soon as I switched over to GoDaddy's site, it made things so much easier. It was click and drag, and everything was easier to find, and I didn't have to do a bunch of reading to figure out how to do something. And didn't need any plugins, didn't need anything else. So I had maybe 8-10 pages on the old site. So I transferred everything over to the GoDaddy site and started from scratch. And once we were able to start optimizing everything, within probably 2, maybe 3 months, I got my first lead from my website, and I was ecstatic. I was like, holy cow, this stuff works, and I barely even did anything so far. So I was excited, about that half of being found on the internet again.
And where do you, on a general basis, how do you, I know this is an early stage company, so there's a lot of people who would be listening who, hi, I'm the guy doing everything. I'm in the field, I'm answering the call, doing the leads. But at the end of the day, everything else that you're doing as a business person, you're obviously enhancing your site at your own. And like, what level of commitment are you making that I know we all get this way, that you just want to always do more? You wish you could do more type of thing, and it's never ending. And I know we have some outstanding issues, that we're topics that we're working on as the next thing. How you doing in general, keeping up, and how do you feel about just the whole cycle?
Well, at first, when I was rebuilding the sites, it was a lot of late nights, early morning time frames. I've got 2 kids and a wife that are still living with me here, so we've got
there you go. I got your family up.
Commitments and all that. But I was able to spend the time at night, and once I rebuilt the site, adding the SEO part of it, it really started to click pretty quickly. After I did the first one, the next phase of it came quicker than I thought, and it did sort of become an addiction, because it's exciting. Holy cows! I'm moving up on the list. I'm on the first page now, and I'm doing it. It's me that's doing it. I'm not hiring somebody else that says they're going to do it, and I don't. To me, I like to know how things work, and I want to know how it's done. And if I'm the one that's doing it, I can. I don't know. It's a better sense of pride, I guess, that, hey, I built this website from nothing, and it's getting me leads, and I'm not paying a lead company, X amount of dollars per lead. I'm doing it myself, and I'm staying busy. I'm booked for the next month and a half, and I've been booked for the next month and a half for the last 2-3 months now. And
well, good, and I believe you're a user of our. Coincidentally, I work with both, but you're using the product too. I know we don't talk about the software side much at all, but you're using the software side of my life, the estimating and invoicing and stuff like that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, good.
Absolutely.
Well, good. I'm glad that it's keeping up with you, and I'm really happy that you present this especially as a startup GoDaddy site, that you went from ground zero to be there. So anyone listening, that. As an independent person who was building a company from the ground up, and all the pressures that it takes just to simply get the first leads in and get the momentum going, the marketing effort already has started to pay off for this gentleman. And again, you could talk to me, or you could even talk to any of these other people who are presenting themselves as looking to help support you in your that motivational push just to get yourself started, and you would be surprised about what the outcome could be in 3 to 6 months on your own. Ken, I do really appreciate you taking a moment, and I know you were fighting technology a moment to join us, so thanks so much for doing so.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ken.
Okay, Brian, we have Todd available right now. I am getting some really good questions, and I'd really like, I think we should wrap this up by the half hour, just to respect everyone's time. So I'm going to put Todd on the line, and then let's get to these questions.
And this is Todd of Ryzek, if I'm correct.
Yeah, how's
Yes.
it going?
Hello,
Hey,
Todd.
Hello, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, thank you. I know it's getting later and later, but I see that based on the volume of people staying here, that we obviously are hitting a great, just a great topic and a great motivational speeches from all the contractors. So, hey, Todd, I know we're being pressed a little bit, so give a little overview about how you feel, because I also know that you're early stage with us, or with the websites in general too. So please give a general feeling of how you are, from where you were just a few months ago, and knowing that we have a nice start going, but we still have a nice road, to travel.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It was originally it started out, came to your site for the estimating, which is a beautiful site, by the way, but helps me out tremendously. But you had kind of sent me a couple of tips about my website. At the time, my website, in my mind, was just there for my customer to kind of get an idea of what I do and, have some helpful links and things for people. It just didn't really click at the time to do any optimization. It just wasn't there. I've always been kind of the tech guy, always in the forefront of different things, but I don't know, I've always done everything word of mouth, and, it's just fine, but if you want to kind of grow, you definitely kind of got to do that. So with your tips, it kind of turned a light bulb on in my head, and I started realizing, hey, there's a little bit to this that I can do, and I remember, if you remember, the first website was pretty basic. And there really wasn't any options to even do a 301 redirect. So that's at the time I made a drastic change to redesign the website using, I think it was Squarespace, to make sure that we had all those options to be able to change everything. So, and then everything you had sent me, I started doing everything, and then it got to the point I was getting a little overwhelmed just with time and everything else. So I included a good friend of mine that's helping me along the way with it, but at the same time working with him back and forth so I know where we are, and getting a huge education by it. It's been miraculous. I'm getting leads all the time now. I get calls from people that say, hey, I'm glad you're in my neighborhood, and it's somewhere clear across the city that,
Oh, you're referring to the location-based SEO that we just did on the bottom. Okay, great. Excellent.
Yep. And that's and I'm like, well, we do work in your area, and you can just see where I start getting all those. So, and I mean, I was on 2 leads today that were direct calls from the website. One was an email and one was a phone call. So it's been amazing, and it's helped grow my business tremendously. And I'm really starting to see the flowers from the seeds, basically, that we planted a few months ago, and we have still a lot to do.
Well, I was just about to say, I'm going fast, and it's funny, I get so hungry, whereas I can't help but just see the next thing so clearly. So at least I know you just said that, because I'm glad that you're already seeing any type of activity as a starting point, knowing how early it is in the game, and then separately that we already could see the momentum going. So I appreciate you offering that type of opinion, because it really covers the spectrum of having an existing site and just enhancing it, and then watching how things change once you've made the effort to do so, and put the motivation in that you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite amazing. And I was on the fence with the lead generation companies, and just thinking,
don't say their names, by the way.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, I thinking I would and blah blah blah, and then seeing how I can do it myself has been a great thing. It makes it part of you, and you feel a little bit more. It makes your website and everything else a little more personal. And I think people see that as well. I think they feel it's a little bit more there for you. So.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for staying with us, because I know it's been a long time, and it's great to hear your motivational push for the rest of the contract.
Well, thanks for having me. It's an amazing thing. I mean, guys that were afraid of starting this, get on it. It's amazing. It works out well, and Brian's very intuitive, and it works out well. So thanks for having me.
Okay, thank you, and I'll speak to you soon.
All right.
Goodbye now.
Okay, Brian, we have probably about 14 or 15 really good questions here, and we have about 14 minutes left. I'm going to put some of these together as much as I can.
Okay.
I'm completely new to website marketing. Is there a website building tool / software program that is great for a beginner? Along the same lines, is there a favorite engine for generating pages? My site is in WordPress hosted by Bluehost. Any suggestions? I think those two questions kind of go together.
Well, no. There's two
Okay.
separate issues.
Okay.
The first, and let's make sure everybody realizes this, is that the first thing is designing websites, number one, and then organizing them for SEO, number two. So whether it's GoDaddy, one-in-one, WordPress, the highest advanced tools that I'm using, which are extremely expensive, and I would never recommend them to anybody because it's my livelihood with my business application, the tool itself is not the issue. It's the design of content and surrounding it with SEO principles, which it's the equivalent of saying, hey, Brian, what's more important, a pencil or a pen? But I don't know how to write. I want to focus in more on the writing side of the cosmetics of their life. So I really I have people that tell me they must and will only stay with WordPress, and they swear by it. There's others that will say, I tried WordPress and I didn't like it, and I went to GoDaddy. I know other people who say, I don't want to use GoDaddy because it was too whatever. So what I tell people to do is you could take a step back and play with a couple of the products, or educate yourself on a couple of those products to feel comfortable with how to design the page. That's a completely independent topic of being educated on the SEO principles to generate leads. So I don't want to say, if I can name any tool and you could use it and it could seem easy, but if it's not utilizing SEO principles, the tool being easy will still never generate you one lead to your site.
Right. And I appreciate that, Brian, because that was a very good way of putting it. I would like to comment on the tools. Brian has talked a little bit about GoDaddy. GoDaddy does have a very simple way of getting in and creating a website. By the way, GoDaddy does two things. They will register your domain name, and they have a tool there that you can use to build a website. You can use them just for the domain name if you wish. And I hope that's not causing confusion. We actually have a page on our website. It's under articles, and it's how do I get a website? I think it's the title of it, and explains the difference between the domain name and the host and all of that. But Brian is correct. You can have a website, you can have it built, you can have it beautiful. I think one of the callers talked about that. But if it's not SEO optimized, it's really wasting time. So GoDaddy is awesome. WordPress works well. It takes a little bit more learning. I think it's very, very easy, and we are working on a tutorial to help people do WordPress because I think it's a great tool. WordPress is properly used can be very SEO friendly. So if I could just answer those two questions.
And remember, there's also Fat Cow. I got somebody using, or a few people using Fat Cow, and there's one-in-one. So I really, at the moment, at least with this, because we could drag on forever, on the differences of those products, I really want to focus in on that the product will not make or break whether you get leads. It's understanding how the content will generate the lead independent of the tool.
Okay. All right. Here's a question. When we add a photo in WordPress, there's a place to put a description. I always do that and fill out every line. Is this correct?
When you say a description, what field is that? Because I'm not aware of the WordPress tool, the details.
I am not sure what field it is, but it's very likely the description is going to be the alternate text that pops up, similar to the title tag type stuff, but it's what shows on a picture. If the picture can't show, the description will show.
So say the question again, just so I can understand.
When I add a photo in WordPress, there's a place to put a description. I always do that and fill out every line. Is that correct?
Well, I know how those different tools work. The main line that you care about is that once you save the picture and you go to the browser, you could either do one of two things. You could either, depending on the browser version, like say it's Internet Explorer, one version allows you, with the mouse just going over the picture, the little rectangle shows up. Other browsers force you to use the right mouse and you click on it and it will say View Image Info. If you do not see the text description of that image, whatever you think you did was wrong. Because the image, the alternate text needs to appear as part of either that little rectangle that would pop up, or when using the right arrow, that when it comes up, it's going to give you a description of the image. It's going to say the size and a few other things, but there will also be text description. you need to ensure that it's been filled out. And if it's not, it's usually only going to be very short amount of information. So when they're saying 3 lines or 2 lines, I don't know what the extra second and third line would be, but it's going to be irrelevant towards SEO. But the first line is definitely going to be important to SEO. So I would validate what they think they're saving and just quickly look it up to see if what they think they saved is indeed saved.
Right. Okay.
Devin, by the way, Maxine is trying to say hello, so I brought up her website just because she tried to, and I don't know if she can get unmuted or not, but I have her website up because she's been doing a wonderful job. It's Ray's Group General Construction that I just brought up here, at least that if we can't bring her online, that at least I can reference her in my follow-up marketing material. Devin,
okay.
Maxine, if you're there, that's the best I could do at the moment if you can't get unmuted.
Okay. Brian, my SEO guy charges me $700 a month, and I've been with him for 4 months, and I'm still not on the first page. Do you think it's time to make a change?
I would say for that price, what I would ask is there's many questions because he might be doing a good job, and depending on how old your website is, because let's make believe your site has been alive for 10 years, and you never did anything, and now you're a guy, you've turbocharged him and he's going crazy on an hourly basis. Google is only going to be coming. There's other engines at different levels, but I'm using Google as the primary one. Google is going to come back with what's called a spider that crawls your website just because he makes changes. Let's make believe for 1 straight month, 24 hours a day. If your website was sitting dormant for 10 years, Google's not coming back as quick as you think. And at the same time, they're not giving you this massive credibility for the new SEO being implemented because it's averaging time for your website changes. So 1 month of real good activity will be countered by the many, many months and years of the neutral zone you were in, because it's kind of like waking up a zombie in a sense. So what happens is, and I hate to use these analogies, but I don't have enough information about who the customer is and the dormancy of his website and exactly what is he optimizing for. Is he optimizing, and is he explaining it to you? Because I could tell you this, if you don't know what he's doing over a period of time, let's assume a couple of things. One is he's not with you anymore for whatever the reason may be. This is your one and only 24/7 marketing opportunity. I would want to know, what is he optimizing? Is he doing pictures, title tags, content, whatever it may be? Have him explain it to you. Usually, most people are going to respond, it's a trade secret. If that's the answer, I don't want to respond what the next thing is I would do, because that's the whole industry. They just want to say I'm optimizing, and I could say I'm optimizing all day, and I can be. But if it's not really doing anything, I could explain to all of the customers exactly what we're optimizing and why. If someone doesn't give you that answer, the next answer is an intuitive business answer that I just don't need to say publicly.
Okay. All right. Brian, someone wrote in a question. How can I contact you directly to talk about my site?
Well, there's 2 ways, and I'm getting that too, so let me be clear to the people. That's why I brought it up. I'm getting emails through my phone. I allow anybody to sign up to my platform it's on my site as a free sign up, and you could just to get my attention, so I could at least call you back and reach you that way. There's a few other people who have sent me notes that I want to get started right away, which is fine. Depending on whether you have a website or not, or you want to talk for a moment, it doesn't matter to me. But we give you 2 options. You could just get your name registered on my site for the free sign up, and we'll discuss upgrading later. Or if you're looking to just jump on board, and I didn't want to bring up this page, but I had to because I'm being asked to, is that currently right now for 90 days, you could work with me for $213, and it's only $213, and I want to say currently because it's going to change very soon. So $213, 90 days, and by the time the end of the summer comes, you will never remember what you did not know. You will be a completely different person. You just have to agree that you're ready. So if you're going to just not wait for the free sign up and you want to get my attention and say by this Friday or by Monday you want to get the ball rolling, just go ahead and sign up, and for the quarterly option, no more than 90 days because I'll reject it, but just 90 days so we could find out how it is to work together and we could always discuss a longer-term relationship then. But that would basically be the two options, either a free sign-up to talk or the 213 for 90 days just to get started.
Okay. Brian, is there a number that people can get a hold of you at?
I'd rather them go to myonlinetoolbox.com and sign up.
Okay.
Or go to my website and just send me an email. But I prefer the first initial, communication, because if I could look at something, especially if you have a website, I would like to just look at it for a moment before I call you to take my own Google eye view of your website before hearing whatever you have to say. Because since Google's not emotional, I'd rather let me look at it from my perspective, and if you have a website. But I prefer them just going to my website to contact me.
Okay. I just had something really bizarre happen, and that is I just lost all the questions. And I didn't delete them. Oh, there they are. You're going to think I'm new at using a computer. On the call to action on a website, you talked about that. Is it always a phone number, or should it be an email?
Well, I wouldn't do an email. What I would do is, and let me just use, okay, here's a good example. This client, and I don't know if this gentleman made it, but I'll just give him because he was trying to. Kelcor, if you notice that, you see how it says contact us, the phone number, but then there's another contact us? I'm hoping. Yeah, good. What he's doing is he's not providing their email address, his email, he's just providing a contact page. Every web tool allows you to have them fill in some basic information. In this case, he's saying, what's the name, what's your email, what's your comments, send message. I actually, if he was on the phone, I would be giving him another suggestion, which be, what's your phone number? What's the best method you would like me to call you? Kind of like one of those questions like you're talking to someone, because some people prefer a call, some people prefer an email, even though you could still call them too. But every tool allows you to create one of these contact tabs in a sense, or what's the word I'm looking for? Forgive me, it's been a long day. They allow you to ask certain questions, and when you hit the send message, it converts all of that, what's typed in, into an email to you, but you didn't have to provide your email address to the outside world. And trust me, you put an email address on a website, it's just a matter of time until the spammers come and you start getting more and more junk over a period of time. So my suggestion would be, don't provide an email address, provide a contact form, force a few questions to be asked, and have it then be converted to an email that comes to you so you could decide who you want to give your specific details of your email address to.
Okay.
And actually, this is a very good representation. Phone number on every page and a contact us that allows you to contact them via email without giving them the email address.
Correct. Fill out the form. Okay, Brian, is there any rule with regard to the amount of text to have on the home page?
That's a very good question, by the way, and it's very generic. And what I would sooner say, there's really no rule. And let's just go to my home page to use as a good example, because it's a very SEO-driven site. Keep in mind, I look to attract contractors one of two ways. One is people looking for software, and one of them looking for website lead generation opportunities. If you look here, I have a little bit of content. Every single sentence has some type of SEO topic driven, and if you keep on scrolling, I just keep going and talking about all the different industries, and I go on and on and on. The thing is, as I talk about something, and I'm just going to use a quick example, contractor jobs, just as an example, because it is a popular word, or internet software, let me use that one. It's a popular word that contractors use when they type in looking for software. And if they click on it, I now have a particular page that's also optimized supporting that content. So what I would tell somebody, you're not looking to write a story that just goes where the home page covers it, because think about the home page of Google. It's just a rectangle. The home page of Facebook, it's all limited. You want to have your home page represent you as if you were looking at the cover of a book and at most your table of contents. And so you want to broad stroke who you are, but you don't want to feel like you have to cover yourself and talk about every little detail and think that because it's on your home page that it's going to be driving activity. So I would tell you that there's no limit or little amount of information that will work. It's how all of the supporting content at the detail level and the additional pages supports what's on the home page.
Right. I think that question actually crossed the line between marketing and SEO, because I think there are marketing issues on how much content to have on the home page to encourage people to call you.
Yeah, and it depends on the service. It depends on the service. It depends on, you know, here's a good example. If you're a plumber, let me use a great example. If you're a plumber, it's so specific that there's only so much you could be talking about that somebody would be searching for as it relates to the word plumbing, in a sense. But if you're a remodeler, think about all the topics that somebody could say, well, am I looking to have my kitchen replaced, my bathroom replaced, my bedroom replaced, my house gutted? And we can go on and on and on with an extension of the trade, which would then require a lot more content on the home page to direct to detailed pages versus a very industry-specific niche that would not require excessive content on the home page. So it's that's a very subjective question without knowing who the caller is and where the starting point is. I have to give unfortunately, a very flexible answer only because it requires that.
Okay. I think that Mike Jeffries has covered that issues like that on his webinar, and I know that we have a recording of one of Mike's webinars on our website, and it would be under articles, and I can't tell you what the tab is that it's under, but it would be on markupandprofit.com, a recording of Mike Jeffries' last webinar. I'm pretty sure he went into that. Okay, Brian, we've got about 8 or 9 more questions because people keep sending them in.
I'm here.
Okay. All right. What if you have a site that ranks highly for your chosen specific service? You want to expand it and change it, but you're afraid it will drop on that search target as you expand or modify the content. How do you modify your site without threatening your existing search engine ranking?
Well, keep in mind, there's 2 separate issues. There's one, a web page, an individual page changing, and also adding more content with new pages. So if I'm ever, and I have this question sometimes too, because I have certain pages that I look at and I just say, you know, I like this, but I'm not sure about this at the moment. So what I do is I create a new page, and I create another new page, and I create another new page, and I never stop. And then on the existing page that is there, I offer an inbound link from one page to another relevant page. And it's very similar to this webinar that we did. It's growing as we're talking, and I've gotten some great things from people that were said that I could never script it any better. And as soon as we're done and we re-listen to the webinar and how they say it, I'm going back to that page, and the one that was the initiating one that generated all this activity, I'm not going to change it, but I'm going to append to it to generate new activity. And people have to remember more content, more content, more content, and especially optimized content is going to win the long-term game. So if you add 3 new pages, I'm just making it up, and those pages are supporting this originating page that you're looking at, it's going to be pushed up or at least maintain its position over a period of time. So I would make my decision carefully, but I have to also, in this particular case, again, I need to know what are we looking at? Are we looking at you know, is it already on just page 8 and he's worried about it going to 9? Because then I wouldn't care. But if it's somewhere on the first 1, 2, or 3 pages, I would be very careful because it took a long time for it to get there. So I wouldn't change it so quickly. I would be careful with deleting content because some of that content already allowed you to get to that spot. So I would definitely append to it, and then append to it by if there's something else you really want to say, but it has its own independent importance that could be optimized, then I would just create a new page. And I have, over time, every time I go to think about something new, I create a new page. And most of the time, you can't find it. You can't necessarily find it as a menu option. It's only going to be bumped into if somebody's specifically searching for something and they find the web page, and once they land on it, then the rest of my website shows up, and that's another trick that I could talk about at a later time.
Okay. All right, moving along. I got an email from Yext Merchant Circle just this morning, offering the opportunity to have them clean up the 219 errors detected with 2 pages worth of search engines for the small price of about $80 a month. How can what we are learning today and or from Brian help ensure that these sites are managed correctly on my own?
I have no idea what that number is, but my instinct is that email just came as a general solicitation, one step away from me getting these daily solicitations that I get from the ratings review sites that like to tell me that, warning, somebody might be talking about me, so quickly do something. I would have you, whoever that person is, take a top-down approach, very similar to that iceberg that I like to bring up, that I say, forget everybody. If you could be able to look at your own website and just go top level where you go by the title tags, that's the starting point, and clean them up. Then we go to the website addresses, clean them up. We look at the content, clean it up. And keep in mind as a contractor, and I'm really doing my best to not talk in a condescending way to the industry, but here's the good news. Somewhere between 93 and 97% of contractors don't have a website that's optimized. The number is so massive that all you need to do is clean up your act yourself. And even if you're missing certain items that an engine, I could run your website through a tool and find all of these nitpick details that, yes, can be viewed as a hindrance to your SEO, but the reality is you're competing with an industry that has next to no SEO. So I don't need to compare you to the Microsoft website or the lead generation websites that have fleets of people that are focusing in on SEO. I just need to compare you to the local guys that you compete with and have you stand out above them. And even if you hit 10, 20, 30 prevailing SEO topics, those other little nitpick details that I could say to you to impress you just won't matter, because you're still going to be pushed up the ladder anyway. So that number 288, I think, is completely excessive as a number. I'm sure it exists, and I'm sure many of them are real. I just don't think they would ever matter in you getting a lead. And I can tell you this, if you call any of these people that are on the webinar today, I bet you we can go through their websites and easily nitpick 100 SEO topics just to say a number to scare them. And at the end of the day, they're generating leads, and that's all I care about.
Okay. Brian, with the use of SEO, can we overcome the high Google rankings of YP? Is that Yelp? Maybe not. Manta.com, etc. In my case, all of these types of sites come up first, and I am on the second page.
All of the main sites, and I'm not going to say the names intentionally because I just won't give them the credit. There is the typical couple of names that we all know of that pretty much most of the time will show up first. However, whenever they show up first, that's predominantly because they have more optimized text than the contractor. So if the contractor takes whatever that phrase may be that they see everybody else on and just looks at themselves subjectively and says, did I on my page provide a few optimized images that those people that they're referencing have? They won't have them. Most of the time the contractor will say, no, I don't have that. Then I will say, is your page optimized to begin with? Most of the time the contractor really is not as optimized as they think. Then I'm going to ask them, did they create 1 or 2 optimized videos to support that particular page or that word that they're trying to, or phrase that they're trying to push their page up on? And then I'm going to ask about the mapping services, because they should have gotten a local, if they've gotten a local 1 or 2 testimonials and supported work that has been done in that area with words from a real customer, not the full name, just, you know, Mary at this particular town, before and after picture and a testimonial, you would not believe how Google sees that, and it's the most valuable content to want to push that result up. Because remember, Google wants to help somebody, and it's not you and it's not me, meaning the contractor. It's the consumer searching. That is their customer. They want to give them the best possible answer. And when somebody's willing to come to the table and say, I have images, I have video, I have testimonials in this particular area, you're now going to be pushed up. And until then, they're taking the best text that they have, and guess what? These marketing firms that you've mentioned, they just have a fleet of people typing and typing all day, but they can't deliver testimonials, they can't deliver pictures, and they can't deliver videos of the work. So that's my answer to say, yes, you can do it, to push yourself up over a period of time. And I do have clients that are doing it rather easily.
And one of your clients just sent in a note that says, yes, you can overcome the big companies on Google. I just recently overcame, and he listed a number of them on search engine rankings. It just takes a little bit of work and time. So one of our earlier callers.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Spoke to. So just backed you up on that one. Brian, what about mobile sites?
When you're saying mobile sites, just like what about it in general?
Yeah, or here's a more specific question. Does SEO address mobile products and or other platforms, Mac, for example?
The answer is yes. And what happens is that, and it's a good point because I'm learning this slowly myself. It's the SEO component. It's actually, this is a marketing question mixed with SEO. A lot of people are searching on a phone. So what happens is, because the device is so slow, the search itself is more geared towards the first set of content that appears on a phone. So if you kind of take, and I'm going to use a GoDaddy site, and I believe KP Carpentry did this without them knowing it. When you sign up to GoDaddy, they have a button that says, would you like to include the mobile version? Push a button and pay whatever it is, an extra $5 a month or something. Most people don't realize that once you push that button, GoDaddy automatically converts all of the content of your pages and immediately reformats it as if it was for a mobile device. So what you need to do is, when you're optimizing, the additional challenge, I rather say, which is why you want more web pages in order to support mobility, is what you could say on a regular site, sort of like the first person or somebody asked about how much content you could put on. The average guy on a mobile phone is not going to just scroll and scroll and scroll to the bottom of a of a page that just drags on forever. So what happens is, when it's being a search on a mobile phone, the keywords that are being optimized, it has a different result when the viewer will be able to see that information on a mobile phone on the first screen, as opposed to a viewing on a regular desktop. And I do this, by the way, when I'm at the gym, I do playing a little searching on my downtime, and sometimes I'll be like, wait a second, at home, why does this appear, but when I'm at the gym, this appears? And it's because the particular page that I thought was more highly ranked on my desktop was slightly changed based on where did the content appear on the mobile device. So the answer is yes, it has an impact, and I have not mastered the exact impact, other than I know it has to do to the positioning of the content for a mobile phone versus the position being more flexible when it's a desktop result.
Okay, that's interesting.
And I don't have by the way, I'm publicly willing to tell everyone, I don't have an answer for everything perfect. I just have a general idea, and until one of my clients forces me to learn it, I just broad stroke the answer. So that's
Gotcha.
all I know at the moment.
Okay. Brian, is it good or bad to have multiple website addresses, such as, and Crystal, this is your question, daggettbuilders.net and daggettbuilders.com, and then also have a separate property management site under a different name? I guess the question is whether it's all pointing to the same website, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct. Because you could have different URLs that redirect, but it's kind of like, hey, my name is Joe, my name is Joey. I'm myonlinetoolbox.com, and I spend all my effort branding My Online Toolbox. No ambiguity, period. And, I would say, without knowing what the person's business objectives are, like, do they have two separate business legal identities, because that happens for many reasons. I know what they're saying is they're probably thinking, here's an example. You have two companies, identical web pages, so if I optimize them to the T, I'll get position 1, position 2. The problem is the content, if it's copied, Google's going to eventually find out anyway. They're not a dumb company. So I tell people, if you could think about it, Copyright infringement doesn't necessarily need that little copyright little logo on the bottom, because plagiarism is plagiarism, and they have enough tools out there to see when people are cutting and pasting all over the place, especially with the spamming. So you want to make sure that inadvertently, if you're looking to just say, I have 2 domains, duplicate content, so therefore I'll be in position 1 and position 2, my instinct is over time you're probably going to be penalizing yourself if that's what you're doing. But if you're going to have 2 businesses and you can clearly optimize them both without duplicating the content, I don't see how that would hurt, but I know I only have so many hours in the day, so God bless you.
Right. Okay. Brian, we just have a couple of more of these. Does redirecting hurt the ranking?
No.
Okay. Good, because we have a number of things redirecting on our website. What do you think about multiple domains pointing back to a main site? That's redirecting, which is...
Yes, it is.
A-okay.
Yep.
I'll put these 2 questions together. I'll start at the beginning. I'm grateful for the basic introduction into the importance of SEO, something I have known for some time is important, but didn't know as much as I do now. But it's still not enough. What are the next steps? And let me tack on the next question. Do you offer any group classes via webinar that teach us all how to make the improvements to our site, or is it only one-on-one?
It's not only, it must be one-on-one, and the reason is that, and first of all, keep in mind, the reason why I keep the cost low is I don't know who just asked that question, and the reason why I lock in 90 days is I don't know if the person, kind of like a weightlifting coach, I like to use that as a good analogy, is I don't know how the person's going to work on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And some people go fast, some people go slow, which is fine by me. The people that bother me are the ones who just never move forward under all conditions, so it's a complete waste of my time. And what happens is that if you put 5 people in a room, or it's very similar to my coaching with putting 16 girls on a team and they all line up, I still, as much as I'm teaching a team, I'm still adapting to the unique individuality of each person. So some people are going to be slow, some people are going to be fast. And for the person who's intimidated on asking me any question, I don't want that intimidation because somebody else is going faster ever stop them from moving forward. And so what I would say is you wouldn't want a group 1, because if I go at the rapid speed that I'm capable of doing, somebody could hear me, they can keep shaking their head that they heard me, but they'll never do anything, because as we move forward, as soon as they were stuck, we just kept moving forward. So I rather tell them you want the individual connection, because let me use title tags as an example. I don't just tell you you have a problem. We're reviewing what your current title tags are, for lack of, as the first issue among the many. And before you do anything, let's just agree that you're doing the right thing together. And maybe you're going to have a busy week. I'm just going to make it up. And we start something on a Wednesday, and you just can't get back to me for 2 weeks, for whatever, and for all positive reasons. Great. But the other person was not busy that week, so they're sitting at their office just, going crazy on their website. When you're ready to go forward, you and I just continue at that next communication, and we walk you along. So the individual relationship is actually more imperative, because I'm just focused on you and your specific objective, with or without worrying about what the other person did or didn't do to intimidate you or possibly, get you discouraged.
Right. Which makes sense. One-on-one attention helps.
Yeah, because like even title tags, it's a great example. There's some title tags out there that I really have to help them because I don't know their competitors. Some people, you wouldn't believe, they get away with murder on their title tags because their local competition is so weak. Mm-hmm. There's some other people that really need to take a step back and say, wow, let's turn it up a notch, because since I've done nothing, but my competitor has done a lot, I have to come to the table really ready to rock and roll. I can't just passively do this. So if I just said title tags and keep on just beating the title tag drum to death, it's just a word, but it's a strategic, title. It really is, and per page. And when people realize, I just keep saying the word, there's such a lengthy discussion on this one topic alone, which may or may not be relevant depending on what you do and where you do it and who's your competition.
Right. Okay. All right, Brian, we are coming up on 2 hours, which is about as long as anybody should be sitting in one spot listening. But I'm going to throw out one last question to you, okay? How valuable are links to other sites in increasing credibility? One of the websites that you showed had the Better Business Bureau there, BBB. Do those things help?
Links are incredibly valuable. Reciprocated links are even much more valuable. And I'm going to say this in such a valuable way so people just understand how many of you inadvertently help the enemy, okay? So forgive me if I'm loose on my explanation. Everyone should be able to read between the lines. There are some companies, lead gen, rating review companies, that love to offer you this little logo and this little symbol of this and little acknowledgement of this with the ultimate goal of you showing their company and giving a link to their website, usually their homepage, which is devastating for you long term. What happens is every time you get a link, you give a link or you get a link, you have to think of it as like two buddies meeting somewhere and introducing them to a third. And there's two different ways of an introduction. There's like me saying, hey, to everybody, Devin's a really great person. And she's this and she's that, and I introduce her that way, and I pat her on the back, let's say. But then comes the introduction that while I'm saying hello to the third person, and I'm like, hey, you know, Devin's a great person, and simultaneously, while I'm patting her on the back, she says, and Brian's a good person too, which is called a reciprocated link. So what happens is, every time you get a link, there's a couple of separate issues. The first is, who is the person patting you on the back? So what happens is, you don't want to go out and buy links. Let's make sure everybody understands that. There are services out there that you read something and see, I only have one inbound link. Oh my God, nobody believes I'm credible. Let me quickly go buy 300 inbound links. Trust me, you've just stepped in quicksand, because Google and all the other engines are aware of those firms, and they give you, not only do they you've ruined it, you've actually said, I'm willing to purchase credibility that doesn't exist. So you might as well just say you're a thief. Okay? And it's hard for me to help you recover. It's the equivalent of a guy coming out of jail and he's paid his dues, but he still has to prove himself different than somebody who just lives an honest life. So what I would do is tell you, when it comes to inbound links, and there is a strategy, I can't give away every secret here on this public phone, but those inbound links are very important, but at the same time comes the opportunity that when you're getting an inbound link to you, that there's a reason why you would be linking back to the website. And what you want to do is just be careful that that link back is not helping somebody who can be your competitor. And trust me, the lead gen rating review sites, at the end of the day, they wake up to sell information to anyone who's willing to pay for it. So if it's not you during that day, you have to say, think carefully, and again, I'd rather talk further about this offline just not to give away the store, that if you're reciprocating a link to somebody else or an acknowledgement, if there's a way that they could hurt you over time, you'll never know if it's happening or not. So getting inbound links and references is important, and there's a strategy on how people acknowledge you. By the way, calling your local paper, hello, I'd like to have a story written about me. I'd like, community involvement, whatever it may be. Any reference to your website is a very powerful tool. And then also, who is referencing to you? If you look at my site, here's an example. I had a little blurb in Forbes as America's most promising opportunities. I get a inbound link from Forbes saying I'm a good guy. That outweighs somebody else who has 50 inbound links from some, no-name sites that nobody knows who they are. So it's not just the power of having an inbound link, which is important. It's the value of who is that company saying you're a good guy or a good business. And it's very, very helpful to SEO credibility.
Yes. Okay.
And I don't mind
Brian?
giving many more details about that offline if they reach out to me, by the way.
Okay. And they can reach out to you, connect with you off your website at myonlinetoolbox.com?
Yes, and for the people, there's a big number of people still online, and I do want to make sure that they know that I think there's three different groups of people here. There's the ones I invited, there's the ones you invited, and then there's the set of people that heard about us through the different forum chatter. And if you've learned something and you're willing to stay here for 2 hours, of course, I'd like you to come my way to eventually just sign up for free or become a paying customer. But I would also like you to, as a reminder, think about that book I was suggesting that Devin had on her website as the, what is it, something, I forgot the name, Revisited, the official name?
Markup and Profit Revisited. And the
Markup
website is
Revisited.
markupandprofit.com. Yes.
It would be a small token of appreciation for whatever you might have learned here, because trust me, over the period of time, the effort that it took for Devin to put this all together is much larger than you could imagine, and as well as my time too. But I was just want to throw that out there, that I would love that to be the book on your shelf, that as you get bigger and busier, that you do have another person to go back to, because my ultimate dream would be that you're so busy that you have to go to Michael Stone, because you now need help on managing all the work that's coming your way, which would be your biggest problem of the day that I would enjoy helping you achieve.
It's a problem we'd like to see everyone have, yes. Okay, so Brian, and someone just asked your last name. It's Brian Javelin. Thank you
Javelin,
very much.
like the spear in the Olympics.
Exactly.
Yeah, and if you Google it, by the way, I tell everybody, have fun. Google my name. You'll see that, you know, I'm not looking to tout it anyway, but I like this portion of my life with writing and education and encouragement to people to become who they can be, and it just takes a certain knack, and that's something that I like to do, and I'm glad I'm associated with everybody who's listening this long, as well as Devin for putting this all together, because I think this is a grassroots movement of not paying attention anymore to all these lead people and ratings review sites that are feeding off of the lack of knowledge that all of you now have, that you could take to the next level on your own. And I want to give you that feeling that you could do this. And I'm willing to support you in your efforts to take charge of your marketing life.
And you did it great, Brian. Thank you very much. Thanks for putting all this together. Thank everyone for being here. And those of you that stayed till the end, I really appreciate it. And Brian, thank you. Again, that was Brian Javelin with an E on the end, myonlinetoolbox.com. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you, and have a good night, everybody.